Okay, Nija, we'll come to what Mehbooba Mufti mentioned just a little while earlier on. I just want to bring your attention to something that Sonia Gandhi said, and she said, and I quote, "Must give the young hope, respect their legitimate aspirations." This is perhaps language which has not been used all that often, certainly not in the recent past. Legitimate aspirations of the youth. Now, if you ask someone on the ground in Kashmir what those legitimate aspirations are, they'd obviously point to something which the centre would be terribly uncomfortable with. What's Sonia Gandhi trying to say, though?
I think what Sonia Gandhi is maybe trying to say is that we need to listen to them, we need to understand and do it empathetically. And I think with the all-party delegation that they are planning to send, one of the things, it may not yield to all the answers, it may not even be welcomed, as Mr. Gilani has already said, but for the rest of India to know what is it that Kashmiris feel today, to empathize with their anguish, to visit the families of those who've lost their young people. I think that disconnect somewhere before you move into any other substantive dialogue or package, somewhere that connect, that bridge needs to be restored once again.
It's a very slender thread, isn't it? Because if you look at the situation now in Jammu and Kashmir and these enormous incidents of violence taking place now almost on a daily basis, this is a very narrow thread that you go across with an all-party delegation, talk to the people, try and understand their aspirations, while on the ground potentially more violence takes place. And then when you crack down on the violence, you don't really get anywhere. So this is really now clutching at straws, isn't it?
It is, but the situation has spun out of control in a most tragic manner. What was in 2008 and what we are now seeing, it's just a window of opportunity lost, but worse, the situation is I don't remember it ever being like that. And a new generation of youngsters coming out onto the streets, but even more than that, it is spontaneous, but yet there are elements behind it which are trying to steer it in a particular direction, and that is a radicalized new leadership, some of them Islamists.
Yeah.
And if we know what is happening in our neighborhood, then what we are going to be running into 2011 with the NATO forces withdrawing from the AFPAK area, with the good Taliban government coming with their hold in Pakistan, you're going to have trouble on your doorsteps. And Kashmir is not just a spontaneous upsurge, it has to be seen in a geopolitical context. And therefore I say the tragedy of what we have lost in the last the opportunity we've lost in the last 1.5 years.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because just say a few months back, before this violence started, we were talking about all-time levels of peace in Jammu and Kashmir. Now we're looking at it as lost opportunities.
Absolutely, and the way the parties campaigned, the percentage of people who came out and voted, Omar Abdullah taking over amid such high hopes, young face, forward-looking, articulate, what aspirations, and they just lost it.